Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. Picking up from where we left off last week, on Friday last, the Minister of Housing and Water's Central Housing and Planning Authority signed contracts to the tune of $867 million for upgrading of roads, drains, sidewalks, and culverts in the Parfit Harmony Region 3. $145 million was signed by contractor H. Knott & Sons, which caters to the rehabilitation of roads in the Schoonard area. Contractor Ivor Allen signed a contract for over $146 million for the rehabilitation of roads in Love Parfit Harmony, while Colin Talbot Contracting signed a contract valued at $167 million for upgrades of roads in Westminster. Meanwhile, Junior Sammy Guyana Inc. received a $105 million contract for the reconstruction of roads in the community of Underneeming. S. Jagmohan Construction signed a contract valued at $164 million, while Barden Construction was awarded a $137 million contract for the rehabilitation of roads in Regdorsey and Luston Russ, respectively. Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell, in his charge, urged the contractors to ensure that the works are of good quality and is executed in its allocated timeline.
I wish to advise that I expect all of you here to work within your timelines and complete the works to the best of your ability. Whatever possible is it, you can utilize the labor from within the communities. Please do so. This will go a long way towards improving the lives of our citizens who are often, in this case, the bracket poor and vulnerable.
Over 250 persons in Linden Region 10 will soon be gainfully employed. This comes on the heels of the signing of a MOU between the government and Midas BPO. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, says government is building an industry that will create meaningful employment for young people. He said the push to create jobs and the liberalization of the telecommunications sector is linked to the establishment of the call center.
ICT sector, if properly incentivized, can generate thousands of new jobs through co-investment, providing infrastructure support, state-sponsored training, and employment opportunities for the disabled. And I want to submit to you, my brothers and sisters of Linden, that what you are witnessing here today is the living manifestation of this very paragraph in action. A partnership with a private company, investment in infrastructure, facilitation of infrastructure and improved and more affordable access, and job creation.
Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgehill says the government remains a partner for development, adding that political maturity is what is needed to develop the township.
What we are doing here is to benefit the people of Linden. Jobs coming to Linden. Every political leader in Linden, if they take to a platform, they will speak about high unemployment in Linden. That is the issue, high unemployment. Well, here it is, your government, the PPPC government, is answering by way of a solution by bringing to your facility, Linden, an opportunity for Lindeners to be employed and work in Linden.
Meanwhile, CEO of Midas BPO, Malcolm Sober, says there is genuine interest by the government to create employment for Guyanese. In 2015, Toucan Call Center, now Midas BPO, closed, leading to unemployment for close to 100 persons. The building has since been rehabilitated by the PPPC administration to the tune of $142 million. The government on Saturday last delivered a bus to the Village Council of Fairview, Region 8, eliminating the transportation woes of students attending the Anai Secondary School. The Shah of the village, Bradford Alacock, said the government has lifted the financial burden from parents. Minister of Amerindian Affairs Pauline Sakai said the government is investing heavily in education during the pandemic.
The objective is to ensure that we support education, that we ensure that Fairview bring out from this village qualified young people and not dropouts.
Minister Sakai also delivered a tractor to the village to beef up the village economy. Residents and business owners in Region 6 will now have a more reliable supply of electricity, as government on Monday commissioned the Canefield 10 megawatt VAR substation upgrade. The automatic regulating system is a 741 Japanese yen project that was completed by Guyana in partnership with the government of Japan. Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips dubbed the project groundbreaking.
This upgrade will provide reliable, stable, and efficient power in our system and is a force in many steps towards my government's commitment to enhancing the capacity of GPL with regard to sustainable power generation to our citizens.
The substation controls the supply and level of electricity to residents and businesses in Region 6. Similar systems will also be installed at GPL's power stations at Sophia, Edinburgh, and Good Hope. The $320 million extension of the government's Because We Care cash grant program continued on Wednesday at private schools around Region 4. Parents of children attending those private schools have expressed their gratitude for the initiative. In an invited comment, Education Minister Priya Manikchand said the extension of the grant to private schools is a response to calls made by parents.
Traditionally, we have not made public investment in private education except for very broad areas like curriculum and tax breaks and so on. We don't give textbooks, we don't pay teachers and so, but parents this year made it very clear to us as a government that they wanted to see their children benefit from this program also. They felt very strongly that they were equally entitled given that they are paying taxes and that they too have expenses. And particularly in this year with COVID, everybody has had extra expenses. And being a responsive government, President Ali said, we're considering it. We thought about it for a little bit. Of course, we had to get some budgetary injection into the ministry. And that's what we're doing today. We're rolling out the Because We Care cash grant in private schools, which is really the government's response to parents. We're answering the call of parents.
Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony is assuring the public that COVID-19 vaccines are easily accessible. Dr. Anthony says while vaccines are not available at every health center in every community due to proper storage requirement, there are over 100 easily accessible vaccination sites across the country.
We don't have vaccines at every health center. These vaccines require a certain temperature, which you must keep them and so forth. But we have more than 100 different sites across the country, and we have been repeatedly identifying these sites so that people would know and go to these sites and get vaccinated.
Dr. Anthony says the COVID-19 vaccination campaign is a national campaign, and therefore persons must encourage each other to get vaccinated against the deadly coronavirus. 151 community service officers from different hinterland communities on Wednesday graduated from a Board of Industrial Training program, a collaboration between the Ministries of Amerindian Affairs and Labour. The program focused on photovoltaic systems and tractor driving and maintenance. Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell, who spoke at the graduation, said beneficiaries of these types of training now possess valuable skill sets that will not only aid in their own development, but their communities as well.
As community support officers, this must be a noteworthy achievement, which will go certainly a long way to help you to improve your quality of life. But it doesn't stop there. It also helps to improve your communities from where you come from. I want to encourage you to use the knowledge and the skills that have been imparted to the best of your ability. Your journey has only started.
Minister of Labour Joseph Hamilton meanwhile noted that the CSO program came into being after the difficulty of employment in hinterland communities was recognized.
As I speak to you, I know of CSOs who started off as a CSO and today they are nurses. I know of CSOs who started off as a teacher aide and today they're teachers. The intention is not for you to be a CSO forever.
Put yourself in the shoes of a pensioner who has waited 25 years to collect his pension book. Were the words of Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, to staffers of the National Insurance Scheme. He was at the time referring to an actual experience by a pensioner whose issue was recently resolved by the scheme. The minister made these comments in the feature address at the scheme's 52nd anniversary ceremony, which was held at the Patrick Martin Borough Sports Complex at Carifesta Avenue on Wednesday.
There are many people, when they hit age 60, their only source of financial support is their NIS pension. When you get to age 60, if you're no longer employed, for many, many people, this is their only source of income, of financial support on the basis of which they live. Imagine causing such a person, quite a few of the other people have been waiting 2 years, 3 years. How are these people supposed to live without getting their pension?
The scheme has been working to clear a significant backlog in cases, including by holding outreaches across the country, led by Dr. Singh himself.
That quality of service must be provided at all times, starting now. And my instructions to the board and to the management are that they are to have a zero tolerance attitude to discourtesy, disrespect, inefficiency. They are to have a zero tolerance attitude.
Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony says 100,000 doses of the FDA-approved Pfizer vaccine are expected on Monday, October 4 through COVAX. He made this disclosure during Thursday's COVID-19 update.
We are expected to get a number of vaccines, 100,000 doses of vaccines through COVAX on the 4th of October. And it's the first time we'll be receiving Pfizer vaccines from COVAX. Before we were, so yesterday we set another record in terms of vaccination, where in one day we were able to do 9,946 doses in that given day. So I want to again commend the staff for being out there and working hard.
Minister Anthony is again urging everyone to get immunized against the deadly disease. Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, says that the U.S. $7.2 million line of credit signed with India will see thousands of hinterland homes supplied with solar electricity. The agreement was inked Wednesday evening by Dr. Singh and Indian High Commissioner to Guyana, Dr. K.J. Srinivasa, at the 57th anniversary celebration of Indian Technical Economic Cooperation Day.
At a deeply personal level, that to those 30,000 families delivering electricity to their home for the first time will literally be the single biggest thing that will probably happen to them in an entire generation. It might not be the biggest project on the radar of the Ministry of External Affairs of India, but this project will have a truly transformative impact for 30,000 Guyanese families.
Minister Singh was accompanied by Minister of Education Priya Manikchand and Minister of Public Service Sonia Parag, who also delivered brief remarks. Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa has assured residents of Belfield that agriculture and infrastructure in their village will be improved. The minister met with residents of the East Coast Demerara village on Thursday. Minister Mustafa gave his commitment to providing machines for irrigation, building roads for farmers to transport their produce, and keeping livestock on their farms.
So you got to continue to meet with the livestock farmers and develop a system where one side will not destroy the other side. So I want you all to do that. We'll try to, I'll make a machine available to desilt all the canals that you all have here.
Minister Mustafa also encouraged the farmers to start planting cash crops, as they will have many opportunities in the sector. Planting materials, chemical fertilizers, and seeds will be made available to the farmers. Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgehill says there has been a change in the request for proposals for the Currentine River Bridge linking Guyana and Suriname. On Friday, Minister Edgehill explained that 8 firms have already been shortlisted to submit proposals. He said prior to the change, the request for proposals from the firms only required them to produce a feasibility study and design for the high-span bridge.
Following the recent bilateral summit between the two presidents, a decision was taken to procure the Quarantine Bridge as a design, build, finance, operate, maintain option, a DBFOM model. It means that some amendments will have to be made to the RFP that went out to the various firms, and we are looking at having a DBFOM contract advertised soon, and we want this to be ready in terms of proposals coming in by the third quarter of 2022.
The bridge is expected to be 1.7 kilometers from Guyana to the abutment on Long Island, 2.15 kilometer road through Long Island, and a 2.5 kilometers bridge from Long Island to South Drain in Suriname. Minister Edgehill said that discussions surrounding the change is ongoing. That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website, dpi.gov.gy, and our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.